Wheel, if you are quoting company rules, I'll follow them exactly as it is. This was done by ex-colleague. Wheel, this happened a few years ago, when I was working as a techno-manager in an Indian startup IT firm. It was a small firm with less than 50 employees and there were two founders. Let's call them Vicky and Joel. Vicky had worked a short time in an MNC, but was not able to stand authority and had to resign, whereas Joel had no real workplace experience. Vicky managed the place like a king, show tantrums, anger, etc. Joel was simply a yes man to Vicky. Now we had an HR lady, who was okayish with the older employees and strict with the newer ones. As for me, I was not that good technically compared to my colleagues but was good at people management. Also, I was one of the longest serving employee too. I was friendly with most of the employees, especially the new ones. This was due to the fact that I knew it was not easy to work with the founders and I wanted the show to continue as it was my first company too. So a new joinee, named Bob, joins and after 6 months he is assigned to a project. Because of the time zone difference he worked up to 4:45 a.m. and the client too was happy with him. Since he was sleeping late, this guy always reported at nearly 11:30 a.m. in office. Out of the blue, founder calls me in HR and asks that why Bob is late to office and said he has to be in office by 10 a.m. as other guys. By the way, forgot to mention Vicky and Joel came into office only once in a while and it was pre-corona times, but since they are founders, let's ignore that. HR lady took the responsibility of asking Bob about that. At this point, since HR lady is not aware of Bob's working hours, I interrupted and told that he's leaving the office by only 24 a.m. and it's kind of unfair to ask him to cone early. Vicky cut me and says, no, he has to follow rules and this is the basic etiquette when working in this office. I said, okay. HR lady calls Bob in her office and questions him about the timings, to which Bob says, okay, ma'am, will comply. Now Bob and me have a good rapport and he comes directly to me and tell me what happened with the hour. Then I ask him, what are you going to do? Quote, to which he says, I will ask for a clarification via mail and then will comply. I understood where it's going and give him a best of luck, trying hard to contain my laughter. After 10 minutes, HR comes to me with her laptop in panic and show me the mail which Bob has sent. He has CC'd the founders, the client head he's reporting to, and have written something in lines of this. Hi client head name, this is to inform you that as a request from my office to comply to the office timings. From tomorrow onwards, my work timings would be 10 a.m. IST to 7 p.m. IST, i.e. 10:30 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. Chicago time. I request you to change your meeting times to the times when I am available, and if any inconveniences, please contact HR, Vicky or Joel. Thanks, Bob. I asked the HR if this was somewhere mentioned in the offer letter and she nods yes. I tell her to take the matter to Vicky. At Vicky's room, since the narcissist guy he is, scolds HR for not nothing this in the offer letter, then asks her to correct this. She goes to Bob and asks for correction, to which Bob firmly says no to. HR lady, being stupid, tells that she told this because Vicky asks her to. And Bob still stands firm and asks HR if Vicky have said it. Then ask Vicky to formally reply in the mail thread asking to revert to his old timings. Bob also says that he is not going to get back to old timings unless Vicky mails, and they have approximately 4 hours to do so before the client reacts. HR comes to me for help and we go together to Vicky's room and brief Vicky lash out at HR, and at this point I interrupt and says, it's better to address the issue as in 4 hours client will get involved and we have to take a decision before that. Vicky hesitantly sent out the mail saying it was a mistake as Bob's special case was not considered during the decision-making and Bob can continue his earlier timings. As I walked back to office, I saw Bob looking at me and laughing really hard, and I had to hold a straight face as HR lady was also behind me. Needless to say, Bob has his timings intact. In Texas, so same time as Chicago. I used to support customers in Washington, California, and the Pacific Basin. I would stumble in about 10:30 local and leave for the bars at 8-ish in the evening. We had 2 15-minute breaks and an hour for lunch, so this was my 8-hour day. I was informed that this was not acceptable, and that I needed to be in the office at 8 o'clock. Second day, a customer in Guam called my home number about 6:30. Pre-cell phone days. And I had fewer than 100 customers, all mid to large companies. I gave him the VP's home phone number and hung up. The next morning I had a meeting with HR, my boss, the VP, and the operations manager. I was told to go back to managing my own schedule. These little power trips sometimes backfire. Do they? It's hilarious how some people can't be bothered to ask a little question before disrupting someone's work. And I'm very grateful to have never encountered this level of assholery. Vicky had worked a short time in an MNC, in a mobile network code, in Mongolian news channel, in Museo Nacional de las Culturas. You might want to edit your second paragraph. Nice story.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.